Yeah, can't they disturb person here. And that's why I was disturbing. I was asking this kind of question. Because I know it's difficult, and those things were they difficult. Now, why me I dey act like this? Me, I know say it's very difficult. All right. Striscia Segneletica Orizzontale. See am now. I don't dey run now. So now I don't dey go further. You dey see am now. Like play, I don't finish everything wey concern segnale di prescrizione. Guys, like play, we don't finish pericolo, we don't finish deviator, we don't finish obligo. We are done with precedenza. See the way we are going further. We are running. Are you running with me? Sorry.
Yeah.
I know say
Yeah.
Mrs. Sonia they run with me. I know say I'm talking about new student oh. The new student I talk about. I know say Mr. Yeah. Una know una self sha. This is my new brother too, they try. So guys, Segnaletica Orizzontale. What is Segnaletica Orizzontale, guys? Now everything with it's very, very simple. I will go do revision here. Now everything where they paint for ground. If you want to write it down, write it down. Any segnale they paint on the ground, the name is called Segnaletica Orizzontale or Segni sugli ostacoli. But the name is called Segnaletica Orizzontale. That's the name they call them. So you can be using the technical name. Any segnale, anything where they paint for ground, they call them Segnaletica Orizzontale. Is it clear? What do I mean by Segnaletica Orizzontale? For example, now, something like this, I'm coming on. Do you know that all these things na Segnaletica Orizzontale? Do you know that all these things na Segnaletica Orizzontale? Then paint them for ground. Is it clear now? All right. Let's continue, guys. Now, they can't say watch. Now, we're about to see them one by one. La striscia lungo il centro della carreggiata. Now, guys, before I continue, I would like to explain something very, very serious. But you know what, Tosana for prepare one slide. Because you get one thing where I jump before I tell us we'll go see later. If okay, let's just Kukuma discuss it. If you guys remember, I taught you guys about sensor unico one time. Why I told you guys that sensor unico is a discontinuous line dividing the carreggiata. Who remember? Not let me show you guys something. Sensor unico. You remember? You remember something like this? Not this one. Arecomo. Strada. So we are going to introduce something else now. But by God's grace, we're not going to get confused about that thing. I want to show you something. Now, this is a typical example of sensor unico. Watch. This picture you're seeing here. It's a typical example of sensor unico. You see them now. Whenever there is a discontinuous line in the center of the carreggiata, don't forget that. It's very, very important, guys. I hope say we don't record that. We don't understand this one. This one don't they record it. I beg. No do mistake. But watch, there's a twist here. And we'll discuss it now. Now, this is sensor unico. How you go take no doppio sensor? Doppio sensor number one, whenever you see a continuous line in the center of the carreggiata. Don't forget this, guys. It is very, very important. A continuous line in the center of the carreggiata is the number one example for doppio sensor. I will show you another example of doppio sensor. Watch. Second example of doppio sensor is whenever you have a double continuous line. What is this one? A double continuous line in the center of the carreggiata. This is the second example of doppio sensor. Please write it down. Second example of doppio sensor is a double continuous line in the center of the carreggiata. Remember, it is only defining the sense of movement. It define them. Don't forget. Now, wait till the third example of doppio sensor. And now wait till we go see here now. And we'll come finally explain that once and for all. Now, this one, whenever you see a continuous line, very close to a discontinuous line. Who remember this guy? Now, exactly. I'll come explain them now. What does it mean? Now, this is a third example of doppio sensor. Whenever you have a continuous line or a discontinuous line very close to a continuous line. Now, when we come back from break, I go see if I go prepare one or two things before we come back from break. We have 9 minutes. Let's continue now. Watch. They can't say watch. See, come in. They said la striscia lungo il centro della carreggiata. What is striscia? Write it down. Striscia mean line in this situation. Striscia mean line. They said the line in the center of the carreggiata. Now, for those students where they follow me now, they're going to understand, say, they're talking about whether it is this continuous line, whether it's a continuous line, whether it's a double continuous line, whether it's a discontinuous line very close to a continuous line. Is it clear now, guys? Now they can say, su tutte le strade può essere continua o discontinua. On all the road, you can find continuous line. You can find discontinuous line. That one is sure. And remember, non può essere superata se continua. If that line is a continuous line, remember, you cannot oversee that line. You can't pass that line. Don't forget that because it is doppio senso. Now watch. In una carreggiata a doppio senso di circolazione, se discontinua, può essere superata durante un sorpasso. Think about it. Might repeat again. They said, in a carriageway, will be double sense of movement. They said, se discontinua. If the line in the center of the carreggiata there is discontinuous, they said, può essere superata durante un sorpasso. Let me show you an example. I want you guys to follow me. I want to show an example of what they mean. I want to show an example. Watch. Oh, it's very good we see all these things. Now, let me come, I want to show us a typical example of what they mean here. Control G. They said, in a road that is double sense of movement, they said, do you know that if there is a discontinuous line in that road, you can overtake? Let me see if I can see a very good example. Come, Allora. Okay. Maybe I can see a good example here. This one example good, but not be waiting at the fine. This one a good example, but not be waiting at the fine. Because that type of road, they get many course here. Is it clear? So I'm trying to show you guys why they say you can overtake there. So I believe that when we come out from break, I'll show us this is a very good example, but they're too clear. This one get double continuous line. This is not an example I'm looking for. Not be the example I define. Okay, when we come out from break, I believe that we don't find something by then. Now, they can't say, watch. If a road get double sense of movement, now they can't say, if that line is discontinuous line, you can pass it during overtaking. Now, let me explain to you why. Because, guys, probably this particular carreggiata, it gets 2 or more corsia. So, if I wish I had a picture here, I would have showed you guys, and you will understand what I mean. Is it clear now? It no mean say that in a discontinuous line, they divide no mean say that road get only 2 corsia. It gets more than 2 corsia. That is why they say you can overtake. But when I show you a picture, you understand. Now they can say, watch. That particular line defining the sense of movement, they said, è di colore bianco. It can never be any other color. That line is always white. Is it clear? So long as it is being found in the center of the carreggiata, now white. Is it clear? Simple. Now watch, guys, so we don't enter something with a tricky now. We're about to explain what will be this discontinuous line where you go find for the center of the carreggiata. Now let me explain something, guys. Now watch. In patente, or let's do it this way. In Italian olden days road, do you know that? Let's go a little bit backwards. Watch. Do you know that? Like I told you guys before when we started the class that discontinuous line means senso unico. Simple, abi. She wouldn't know that one. That one don't they settle. Now, do you know that there's some olden days Italian road where we say you will see a discontinuous line in the center of the carreggiata, but people they drive there as doppio senso. Who have seen it before?
That be the question why I asked you before. We can say wait, we will see for front.
Exactly, and we don't commit them now. They say now. So, do you know? For example, there are many roads. There are many roads in Italy where we say those roads now the way it has been. They don't want to change it. That's how they just leave it like that. On the center of the carreggiata, they will leave this continuous line there, but people are driving there as doppio senso. Now, guys, in your patente, they will only ask you, I think, 2 or 3 questions. And the way they will ask you the questions, it is you go understand so they ask you because they will mention doppio senso. Is it clear? They will mention doppio senso. That's the trick. Let me repeat again. Of course, guys, remember that discontinuous line means senso unico. Simple. But in patente, in Italian olden days road, there are some particular type of road where we say, even though there is sensor unique, there is discontinuous line in the center of the carreggiata, they still drive there as doppio senso. And in your quiz, there's a way they normally ask the question, and they will mention doppio senso. Now watch. They can say, do you know that this discontinuous line divide la carreggiata in due corsie? Yes, it divides the road into two corsia. Simple. Because inside this carreggiata, you go see two corsia. Può essere oltrepassato se vengono rispettato tutte le norme di circolazione. What does this mean? You can overpass it so long as you respect the rules and regulation. For example, so long as for example, now, if this is a senso unico, for example, and you are sure no car is coming, of course you can overtake. If this road na doppio senso, you have to overtake and come back immediately because this road can be doppio senso. Watch. Non consente di circolare a cavallo. What do you mean of driving a cavallo? If you see a horse, now, what do they mean by when somebody is driving a cavallo? It means two tire there for one corsia, the other tire there for the other corsia. That's meaning of this driving a cavallo. They say they drive like a horse. You go carry your two tire, put your two leg, put for the other place. You cannot drive that kind. You cannot be occupying two corsia whenever you're on the road. Is it clear now? Now watch. They are about to now explain now. And 3 questions that they ask. They said, watch you. See the question. They said, in una strada a doppio senso con due corsie. Now that's that situation when my brother asked one, that beginning part. I can't tell you, we'll see him now. Watch. They said, in una strada a doppio senso con due corsie. Divide i sensi di marcia e consente. Watch. They said, in a road will be double sense of movement. We can't get two corsia. That particular line, it divide the sense of movement. Number 1. In caso si vola sopposare, di occupare momentaneamente l'altra corsia di marcia. Please, when we come from break, I will repeat this part again because I want to make it very clear. Remember, standard senso unico na discontinuous line. But in your patente, whenever they want to discuss this in a doppio senso, they will ask you 3 questions and they will mention doppio senso there. Is it clear now? And these are the examples we're about to see now. Number 1, they said, in a case of when you want to overtake, they said, you have to occupy momentarily, that is temporary, l'altra corsia di marcia. Yes, because a car can be coming from the opposite direction. Is it clear? Remember, they mentioned in una strada doppio senso. They will mention it. If this discontinuous line, they divide the sense of movement. They said, if you want to overtake, occupy temporarily the other corsia. And make sure deve comunque essere visibilità. Make sure you have visibility, sufficient visibility. Essere consentito su quel tratto. Make sure that your visibility is so clear that you can be able to see. Because a car can be coming from the opposite direction. This is the first example. Is it clear now? If they're not talking about doppio senso with discontinuous line in the center. All right. Yeah, let's continue now. Number 2. In una strada a doppio senso con due corsie, they said, consente di effettuare inversioni di marcia